Hey, good evening, everybody, and I am live. Well, sorry about not having any music. Okay. StreamYard, I guess, started doing stuff and they reformatted or something, and I have no promos for you. I have no Six Gun Joe for you. And so that's why there's no music. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully they'll fix this up. Michelle, I know she will, and Joe, they'll figure it out. But I want to thank you for stopping in to the Sunday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I want to thank you, PRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. And also got to tell you that Mr. Don Yazzie, Don't Whistle at Night, his podcast comes on right after mine, I do believe 9:10 p.m. Eastern. So when you're done watching mine, then please feel free to go over there and send them some love. Give them some love over there and tell them I sent you. Um, let's see all who popped in here. Uh, let's see. Hey, Vet Girl, good to see you. Kevin, Vet Girl and Kevin. Okay, that's cool. And there's some others sitting in the back watching the show, which is okay. I don't know. It's just been, I guess you want to call it a crazy week. Last week it was in the 50s and it actually got up to the 60s here in Pittsburgh. And then today it dropped to the 20s. And that, my dear friends, is Pittsburgh weather. Okay. We can have all four seasons in one day here. And that's not a joke. That's the truth. And you just kind of get used to it. And another thing about Pittsburgh, hey, Heidi, good to see you. Much love to you too. And another thing about Pittsburgh, the sun never really shines. You might get about a good week of sunshine. That's about it. But it's always cloudy. It's always like cloudy and dark, And when it's cloudy and dark, it just makes for a miserable day, you know. Um, but I have noticed something this year so far is that there hasn't been too many chemtrails going on in the sky, and that's for another show. But I don't know, it's just gloomy and doomy here in Pittsburgh. That's even in the summertime, too. And when it rains in April, my gosh, it just comes down like cats and dogs. Hey, Holly, good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you, Holly. Um, the gloom and doom. That's about it, you know. And I don't know. I guess I'm so used to the weather when, like, I would go down to North Carolina to go gold prospecting. It was always sunshine down there. Hey, Cindy Mitch, good to see you, hon. Hey, Savannah, I guess. Welcome. And I don't know. There's always sunny and it rains, but it's a little bit of humidity. Hey, Mr. Manphone, good to see you. Thank you for popping in tonight. Mr. Avion, Daniela has oral right. I guess. I don't know. I'm really lost without my music here. You know what I mean? I really am. But, somehow we're just going to get on with the show here. And, what I was thinking about, the show, I was really lazy and I didn't, actually post my show. Hey, Michelle, good to see you, hon. Um, really didn't get to post my show for tonight, but I was thinking of, meditating. How many out there meditate? And what do you think of meditation? I would like to hear if everybody meditates or not meditates. And my question to everybody too is, does the meditation actually help? That girl meditates. Does the meditation that you do, does it help? When Michelle meditates, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Did you have a hard time meditating at the beginning? Like I know for myself, and I do a lot of meditating. Heidi says, absolutely, I do. I never thought I would be able, but I found it beyond beneficial. That girl says, love it, refocus, recenter, reground. Yes. But I know when I first started out meditating, I had a hard time. I had a hard time meditating for the for the reason is first of all I have ADHD. So my brain goes all over the place. And I want to know, did anybody ever experience when they're first starting to meditate that their mind would just go all over the place? I know I had a hard time, man. Michelle says she did first. She started with breath work. Heidi says recenter, realigned. Yes, ground. And that girl says I had a hard time because I had a hard time emptying my brain. I'm a squirrel on Red Bull. Yeah, me too. And it was crazy. Every time I would go at the beginning, I would really try to focus, and all of a sudden, a damn song would pop into my head, and I would start singing, to the song while I was trying to meditate. Heidi says, I have ADHD. I did that too. Sometimes still do, but return to the breath. Uh, and I don't know. It took me a long time to meditate, to learn how to meditate. And my teacher, she would get really, really mad at me. The reason being is because I kept telling her what was happening. I mean, and she would just get mad. But it was a loving mad. It wasn't a bad mad. She was just like, you know what, Sean, just knock all the cobwebs out of your head, and start doing your breathing exercise. And that's what I started to do. I started to do my breathing. That girl says if I have a hard time emptying my brain, I go on the side of the water, beach, middle of the woods, the best nature spots, the better. Michelle says that she started with 2 minutes and worked up to 15 minutes. Hey, Marketti, good to see you, man. Happy birthday. Happy belated, dude. How old are you now? 29 years old? That's what's going on it. But no, I just, it took a time. It took a long time. And in order, and especially at the beginning when I really started the spiritual journey that, you know, I am on, it was hard at first because, everybody taught me, they said, you got to learn how to connect with your spirit guides, you know, and you have to learn to just go into that deep meditation. And then what was scary for me was when I actually went around, when I finally got under, people would start showing up to me. And I got scared because I didn't know who these people were that were coming up to me. I did not know that they were my spirit guides. I didn't know if they were, you know, evil or whatever. And that's the one thing I had to learn to do was in meditation, I had to learn to trust my own judgment, because it's really, really big when you go under. It really is. That girl said, home is the worst place to attempt meditation as I'm an empath and not hear and feel my neighbors. That's crazy. But you know what? I understand. Tara, good to see you, man. Thank you very much. Meditating before bed at night, I would fall asleep, so I put a chair in my room. I find it helpful to stay focused. That's a good idea. Another technique was sensory deprivation, like floating in the lake, ears inside the water. That's interesting, Beck. But see, there's, the people who are sharing their experiences here tonight, um, really, really needed the meditation. So, and I needed it too. I needed the meditation, and it's helped. I mean, look at all the beautiful people in my room, that meditate because they needed it. I did it so I can learn my spirit guides. But here's one problem I had at the beginning. I had a real bad ego when I started to meditate. And I started to go and, clear out houses, you know, fight evil in a meditation state. And my ego kicked in, and that wasn't a good thing. Because if you have an ego on you and you attempt something and you succeed at doing it, and then you start walking around with your chest up in the air, hey, Waylon, good to see you. Then all that work that you put into that meditation just goes thrown out the door because spirit knows that you are being an asshole when you have that egotistical situation going on with yourself. He knows. They're not dumb. And to be honest with you, I used to fight spirit. I used to call him every name in the book, because I was bad. I was good, man. I was doing this, I was doing that. I could go over here to this person and do, and help. And I don't know. But, Michelle says that she had to let go of her ego. Yeah. And that was hard for me to do, Michelle. It was hard for me to let my ego go because, all my life growing up, I'm thinking I'm different. I'm a different person. I never fit in with anybody. I never fit in with any groups. I never did. No matter how hard I tried to become part of a group or a circle of friends, it could never happen. No, it could not happen. And I was like that since as long as I remember. And I couldn't, really understand why this shit was happening to me. And I couldn't understand as I got older. Couldn't understand why, everything I touched broke, or or I had these weird feelings if I was in a place that wasn't nice. I was there. I wanted to be in these places. The biggest thing for me, though, honestly, was I wanted to be human. If you understand what I'm talking about, I wanted to be human. Because once I started on this journey of spiritualism, okay, it was a whole new path. And I wasn't going to be a normal person. And it bothered the shit out of me for a very, very long time. A very long time. I could not understand why it was happening. Anybody out there? Anybody out there in the chat that feels the same way or was going through the same thing as I was going through? Where you wanted to be part of something, but you couldn't, no matter how hard you tried. And then it really got, as time went on, doing the work that I do, and that's for another show. So one day I went on a date, okay, and on this date, I told the girl, I said, we will not talk about ghosts. We will not talk about spiritualism. We won't talk about animal gods. I want to get to know who you are. I wanted to be normal. So we meet at Eaton Park. It's a restaurant here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Batgirl. Batgirl wanted to be part of something but never fit in. Kevin says, do reach meditation state many ways: writing, drawing, sleeping. And see, Michelle says she didn't fit in either. But, so I went on this date, all right, and we met at Eaton Park, and she knew the deal. We were just going to get to know each other. And all of a sudden, her phone rings. I mean, the coffee didn't come on. It was her mother on the other line. And she had to rush her mother to the hospital. Everything was okay, though. The mother was okay. But she had to go. She even brought her son along, too. But she had to go to the hospital. The mom did. So she left. And it was not even 5 minutes into this date. And so after she left, I looked up in the sky in the middle of Eaton Park and I said, why? Why me? What is my purpose? Why me? Why me? Why can't I be normal? Why can I not be normal for one freaking evening? Oh, was I pissed at Spirit? Oh my gosh, I was so pissed. And that's all I kept saying. People were looking at me like I was weird. And so after I drank my coffee, I went and started riding home. But all the way riding home, I kept saying to myself, why me? Why me? Why can't I be normal for one night? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Oh, I was so pissed. I finally get home around midnight. I go into bed, and before I closed my eyes, the phone rang. Here it was a client that needed to talk. So we talked for 5 minutes. 12:30 comes around. Another client calls. 1 o'clock, another client calls. 1:30, another client calls. 2 o'clock, another client calls. And after I got done talking with that last client, I looked up in the sky and I said, okay, this is my purpose. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you straight out right now. Hey, Mr. Wojo, good to see you, pal. I'll tell you this now, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to try to get ballsy with if you ever want to try to get ballsy with spirit, it ain't going to happen because they will knock your ass down, especially if you have an ego. When you want to do when I found out for me, and this is only me, I found out the reason why that I could continue going and doing what I was supposed to be doing, that I had to be humble. When you do this type of work, when you are an empath, when you go and help people spiritually, whatever you do, you have to have full humility. You have to be humble because once when your humility kicks in, once when the ego kicks in, I'm sorry, once when the ego kicks in, you're done. Spirit will make hell for you. And that's the truth. As he done it to me many a times. I was a rebellious bastard. Kevin says, I keep it simple. It's not complicated to relax in a meditative state. If you can quiet the brain some way, obviously it's not going to work in a crowd for me, but mostly when alone or like with a person. Okay. But I'll tell you what really helps me meditate, believe it or not, is prospecting gold, panning gold. Really gets me into the meditation. It takes me to a place where the world doesn't exist. It's my own little world. I mean, I can pan on my back porch or on my front porch, I don't even hear cars going down the street. And I live on the main drag. But like Kevin says, doing something simple. It's true. Yes, it does, Kevin. It makes a lot of sense. Even when I'm in North Carolina, Ohio, or in Pennsylvania, or down in Maryland panning for gold. Okay, I'm not really big at going out into the woods. I don't do that because I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm in the city. I'm going to have like 4 people surround me with guns in order to take me out into the woods. But I'd be close I'd be on a creek close to where there was a lot of people in cars. And I mean, I've had people come up to me and, Mr. Vogel, good to see you. Thank you for popping in. But I would hang around people, and then I would just start processing. I'd start prospecting gold. And it was like I was never there. It's crazy. Not crazy. It was really relaxing. Yes, it was a lot of fun. It is fun. It is so relaxing, but you are going to get wet, and it is a lot of hard work. It's a ton of hard work. But I don't know where I started to get that. Where my meditations are sitting. But um, if you ever want to meditate, find somebody to teach you. And you seriously need an open mind to do it. And the next best thing to do is to keep it to yourself and don't tell people. Because people will think you're a freaking nutcase. Even though I don't care, I'm still a nutcase of people. But I'm okay. So at this time, we were supposed to take a break. And again, I have no music to play for the break, no promos. So we'll continue. So I went into good old AI, okay, to the overview. Quebec Girl says, come to think of it, I'd pan for white rocks. Sif. Someone told me it was either marble or quartz or agate. Looks like teeth. Huh. Could be quartz, huh? Definitely it could be quartz. But so as the AI overview, I'm going to read this here for everybody. Meditation is a practice of focusing the mind and achieving mental clarity, often by anchoring attention, like on the breath, to quiet, distracting thoughts, leading to reduced stress, better focus, emotional regulation, and improved well being. Kevin says, we are surrounded by mountains here. Not hard to connect with nature, though. Just breathe air, feel sun, listen to rain, embrace the cold and heat or medium temperature, whatever you like or prefer. Okay, one of these days I'm going to come up and visit you and Vet. One of these days. With techniques ranging from mindfulness to mantra-based practices, beginners can start by sitting comfortably, focusing on their breath for a few minutes, and gently redirecting their attention when the mind wanders, viewing the wandering as part of the practice, not failure. How to get started? Find a quiet spot and sit comfortably, chair cushion, with a straight but relaxed spine. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Focus on your breath, noticing the sensation of inhaling and exhaling without trying to change it. 4. Gently redirect your focus to the breath whenever your mind wanders. This act of returning is the meditation. Start small, even 2 to 3 minutes, and build up. Common types of techniques: mindfulness, Paying non-judgmental attention to the present moment, including thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It's hard to pay attention. Could also be limestone too. You have to scratch that stone to see if it is limestone because limestone, it scratches. It's coarse. Breath awareness, focusing solely on the physical sensation of breathing. A mantra base, repeating a word or sound to help focus the mind. And body scan, systematically bringing awareness to different parts of the body. Huh. There's a lot of gold up in Canada, but I don't think on your side. Not where you all live. I think it's all slate, all that stuff up there. I don't know, but just I keep reading this AI. Heidi says that she started out with body scans or sense scans, focusing on each. A body scan, I'm going to have to look that up to really understand what a body scans are. Okay. Benefits: reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. It improves focus, attention, and memory. Enhances emotional regulation and self awareness. And promotes relaxation and better sleep. Oh, yeah. Joe Fox, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Heidi says it's beneficial in relaxing or tenseness. Okay. Meditation trains the brain's attention networks, shifting it from the fight or flight mode is to a calmer, more relaxed state. It builds awareness of the default mode network, the part of the brain that ruminates on the past and future, allowing you to observe these thoughts, patterns, without getting swept away by them. It's a lot of words. You know, so when I would meditate, I would always meditate in the evening. Okay. Let me ask you, and I want to see what you guys say to this. Whenever you did spiritual work, okay, whenever you meditated, did it seem like you were taller? I mean, please be honest with me and ask me that question. Does it feel like you were taller than you usually were? I know that sounds weird and it sounds strange, but that happened to me. I asked my friend one time, I said, why am I so damn tall? I was tall. And she said, it's the meditation, it's the spiritual work that you do. And I just went along with that, you know? I don't know. But I know is when I meditate at night, I fall asleep after I meditate. Before bed and when I wake up, and a couple of times during the day, every day. Thank you for sharing that. But I can see where it can be, help relax, especially if you work a 9 to 5 job and you're in an office and you have to go into the city and work with a bunch of people that you can't stand. I can see how a little meditation can go by helping you out on that. But I don't know. Meditation, it helped me. And, by just listening to everybody here saying who do meditate, it's helped them a lot too. Is anyone here familiar with the teachings of William Donahue? He's on YouTube. I don't, Joe. Never heard of him, buddy. Never heard of him. But we are at the, love that, Sean. Spirit is taller guides. For example, so we are reaching that spiritual spot, so it would make sense to feel taller. Closer to spirit comes to mind. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that. But since we have no music, I'm going to do the little break, okay, when I usually come back. I know I'm kind of late on it, but we got to go for it. But don't forget, right after my show tonight, at 9:10 p.m., you got Don Yazzie and his show, Don't Whistle at Night. It's right on after my show. Okay. So when my show's over, we just go over and give him some love and tell him I said hello. Okay. Tell him I said hello. And I want to thank you, PRN Talk Radio 105.3 New Orleans. No, Mississippi 107.7 New Orleans, for allowing me to give you 2 1-hour shows during the week, Sunday nights and Tuesday nights from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. That girl says taller because you aren't weighted down with negativity. That's true. I never thought of that. Joe Park says big on meditation in the Bible. He is. I guess meditation can be prayer, you know. Um, but I have something to tell you guys. You know how dark I go. I like to go dark. So I read about, I just about how good meditation is. Oh, okay. Michelle says, Kevin says, mention you sent us, and he said to say hi back and was grateful. Dawn. Okay. Oh, cool. Michelle says, guided meditations help me build my own meditation routine. That's cool. But I guess you do it however you want to do it. Like most of the meditations that I put you guys through on my show is the way I go by getting to the land, the whole with the rock and the meadow and all that. That's how I do mine. But you know how I am. I have to go on the dark side. And so I Googled meditation gone wrong. Hmm. Meditation gone wrong. While meditation is generally safe, it can go wrong for some, leading to adverse effects like increased anxiety, panic, traumatic memory surfacing, disassociation, insomnia, disorganized thoughts, or even hallucinations. Often with intense practices, unprepared individuals or pre-existing mental health issues. These meditation adverse events are called MAEs, can range from temporary discomfort to more severe lasting issues like the emptiness, sickness, or Zen sickness, highlighting the need to proper guidance, especially with deeper practices, say researchers and practitioners. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Heidi says, I just have to share out. Pura Rosa, she has too many meditations in so many areas. She's here on YouTube, and I've been meditating with her for over 10 years. Hey, Heidi, her word is gold. So she says there's Pura Rosa. If she does meditations with her, man, go and check out Pura Rosa. Maybe I can get her on the show here. Because Heidi's word is gold. Um, common negative experiences, emotional and psychological, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, intense fear, paranoia, existential angst, emotional blunting, loss of identity, agitation. Cognitive and perceptual, disorganized thinking, memory problems, that's a long one, derealization, hypersensitivity, hallucinations, racing thoughts, traumatic, re-experiencing past trauma, involuntary body movements, distress. Kevin says disassociation can be a good thing if you're constantly exposed to people, aka working with the public. That's funny. That's funny, Kevin. But let me ask you this: did anybody have any of these negative experiences while they were learning how to meditate or while they were doing meditation? Anybody? You know, I remember, when I was really like into the I'd sit on my front porch about 12:31 in the morning, and I'd close my eyes. And when I closed my eyes, I saw spiritual beings, and they came around me, and they were like angels. They looked like angels. But when I looked deeper, they were different. They weren't angels, they were demons. Heidi says, I've seen a couple threatening mofos try to grab my hand. Nope, I get out of here, out of my bubble. That's a good thing. Well, see, I wouldn't want to mess around with Heidi. I wouldn't want to mess around with Michelle. Sure as hell would not want to mess with that girl. You know, them spirits are dumbasses that they don't realize how hardcore these women are that are in my group. That's why I feel safe if I was walking down the dark alley with these women. Man, I'm Michelle, Heidi, that, oh my God, Joni. Heidi says, stop, Sean. No, I'm not going to stop. I would feel safe. All the women that come and watch my shows, even some of the men, Joe Fox and stuff, and everybody else. Kurt, I haven't seen Kurt for a while. I hope he's all right. Um, why do you think that happened? I don't know, hon. I don't know. I don't have an honest answer for you, hon. I just closed my eyes, went deeper, and here they were demons. Yes. Kevin says, can't say negative experience happened during meditations. Oh, that was quick. I love Joe. Joe Fox is great. Joe Fox is good. During meditation per se, but in dreams on the astral have had some negative things at times. Oh, astral. Who does astral? I do. They biggest hurdle with past trauma with meditation, like skeletons in the closet, and Joe would swing his purse at them. But no, astral planning. I got. I'd like to share this story with you because it means a lot. I'm not going to, this is a good, happy Sunday night show, so everything's got to be happy. Um, but I remember when I divorced my wife, I was living in an apartment building, not far from where my son lived. And oh yeah, I have hiding. I really have. It's not safe. There's some real sickos out there, and I'm not talking human beings. But I remember one time my son stayed over, and he slept on the floor in a sleeping bag with two pillows. And so I was sleeping one night, and then I did an astral, and I was sitting on my bed. Okay. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at me and I'm looking at my son. But all of a sudden, my son, he was 6 years old, he did an astral, and he came up and he gave me a hug, and he went back into his body. It was the coolest thing to ever see. Many, many years ago, I bought a book on astral travel, but never seemed to make use of it. Heidi says, I've heard some others not so nice experience in the astral. Kevin says it happens once in a while, Heidi. Usually I can avoid it as well. I mean, it's crazy. I remember one time I did an astral We're going to have a show on this. Um, we're going to have a show on astral traveling. But I remember one time, Heidi, that I was astraling in my apartment, and oh my God, I get out, everything is black and white. Everything was, there was no color to it. It was all black and white. And there's my boy. There's Donnie. Don't whistle at my pocket. Astro to get some. Oh, you're silly, dude. You're silly. Most certainly you'll have to have a show on Astro. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sean, your show and chat room are awesome. Seriously, bud. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Love that too about your sunshine. Thank you, Heidi. And for Mr. Don Yazzie, the pumpkin spice. I mean, it's okay. I'll astral. I'll come out where you live and I'll get some pumpkin spice, all right, in my travels. But yeah, so astral, it can be bad, but it can be good. My biggest fear at the time when I first started astraling, um, I was afraid I'd never come back. I would never come back into my body. That scared the shit out of me. Sounds like a plan, brother. You know, and the more that I trusted my spirit guides and angels, you know, then I would go out a little bit further. But it's not a happy place to go. I mean, if you're by yourself, people say, make sure there's a string attached to your body and blah, 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 the whole nine yards. Did I witness the silver cord? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I, I witnessed the silver and I witnessed the gold. Yes. Dawn says, I love the fly around. I, as long as you're in a safe place, dude. Oh, yeah, grounding cords, especially the gold. Gold's good for grounding. Silver's good for going out there. That girl says I was opposite. I did not want to get back into my body. Oh, no. Not if you would have seen the places that I've been to, honestly, I just couldn't wait to get back into my body again. And it's scary as hell, too. Especially, I don't know how you feel, but when I would come back into my body, it would feel like my whole spirit going into my body, and I would literally jump up in the air, laying down. Seriously. Kevin says, "Oh yes, that cord is like automatic at this point." Heidi says, "I didn't want to come back a couple of times. What I was experiencing was But I'm glad you shared that, Heidi. But think about it. That thing that you were experiencing, it was just a little taste for you to show you what lies ahead for you. And you are not ready to go to there yet. I hope that sounded right. But I don't know. I think this tonight was a good show. But we're going to have to definitely do a show on asteroid. That's not a problem with that. I don't know. Soft landing was my eagle form. I had never had a soft landing, Kevin. My landings were never soft at all. They would come in like a nuclear bomb, boom, and I would jump up off my bed. Seriously, man. No, no soft ones for us. But asteroid, you know, let me ask you people out there. I'm glad you did. Well, let me ask you this, everybody out there. Do you think that if you want to astral, that you can do it on your own? Or do you think spirit picks certain people to learn how to astral? I'd like to hear your answers on that, everybody. Question is, do you think that you can just learn how to astral? Or do you think spirit picks you to travel? Veckrell says, even with past scary encounters, nothing is worse than this reality. I've had enough trauma from this reality. Yes, I dread waking up. Astral, feel free. Yeah, I guess you can go that way with it. Yeah. But then again, that if you look at it, maybe at that moment, I know if I was in your shoes, I could not do that. Okay. I would go, if I was in the same situation that you were in, okay, I would not. I'd go out for a while, but I'd definitely come back because people need to realize that, there are some unfinished business that has to happen. Michelle says, I think you really have to want it and put in the work for astral. Heidi says, I never thought of that. My first visit was with Boulder Psychic. We all met one night. Huh. Kevin says, I think it's both, Sean, learning things or you're pulled to do so by guides. I like that, Kevin. I like that. That's very possible. Very, very possible. Yeah, definitely both. Boy, you just opened my mind. You opened my eyes, Kevin. You opened my eyes. But when I meditate, I know I'm free. Joni says spirits pick you, especially if they want to show you something. That is true, Joni. Oh, that happened many times. Now, everybody knows that I like Ebenezer Scrooge, A Christmas Carol. And there are times that I'd be in bed and I would have a spirit come and just show me around. Has that ever happened to anybody else? I need to know. That girl says she was astral traveling before she knew she could. Has anybody ever just like closed her eyes and just felt a spirit come and just snatch your spirit and take you to different places? I guess you can consider that. If it was, Michelle says that she holds a rose quartz and black tourmaline, one in each hand for meditating. Anyone else use crystals? I don't use crystals, hon. Hey, Lisa, good to see you, hon. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you very much. You want it to happen, Joe? Don't force it, Joe. Let it come easy, brother. Seriously, that's how you're supposed to do it. You just got to let it come easy. When it happens, it's going to happen. And maybe, Heidi says, I have definitely felt them, but I haven't willingly went with them. I usually bubble up and say, get the fuck out. Yeah, but you know what, Heidi? And I do respect the bubble, okay? I do respect the bubble, but maybe one time, you know, maybe the bubble might be broke or popped. Kevin says, my guides, yes, and V sometimes will swoop through my astral like crystals, you know. But no, one day we'll all get there, and one day we'll all astral, okay? And we'll meet up there somewhere out there in reality, and somewhere out there in astral plane. You're a crabby cancer and your shell is thick. That girl says, I materialize my tools in my mind's eye. Cool. But we all should astral one day. We should astral. Every one of us in here should astral and have a little party out there in astral plane land. You know, I don't think they could handle us out there. I don't believe so. But we are getting close to the end of this show. I want to thank everybody for popping in tonight. And I do believe, and it was a good show tonight. There was a lot of things said about meditation, listening to other people's experiences for their meditation, the meditations that they do. You know, Kevin, an astral party, got to do it. But I don't know. It was a good show, and I learned a lot. And I'm so grateful for everybody who stopped in tonight to listen to my show. That means a lot. It means a ton of lot. And again, I have no music. So on this note, Joe says you always cover the good topics, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. I guess my manager said that one time. My station manager. Thank you very much, Lisa. You're awesome too. Travis said we're weirdos. Yeah, we're weird. And it's okay. I love being weird. And I would not want to be weird with anybody else but what's in my chat room because we are cool. But children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And if you have no parents and you have no children, find somebody, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. Because those three words, I love you, go a long way. And on that note, good night, everybody, and see you Tuesday night.